Hello, welcome back to Design Elements and Principles. We are in session 12 of 16. We'll talk about movement today. We'll talk about the pamphlet design and just keep us rolling along for these last, today's session, and it's 13, 14, 15, 16. We're done. It's moving along quite well. I'm having fun. I hope everybody is having fun, learning a lot. With that said, let's jump into it. Well, before I jump into it, there is a weirdness because of the Thanksgiving holiday. Session 11 projects are due 12/4, but session 12 projects are due 12/2. Pay attention to that, please. Don't double check when your due dates are. That's simply because it's just like lining up. We do a Tuesday, a Thursday, but I didn't want to have things due for you on a Thursday. That didn't exist. You're supposed to have Thanksgiving, and I don't know, we're all, students. And so what do? Do it last minute. I didn't want you working on Thanksgiving. So just double check those due dates for session 11 and 12. I know they seem reversed, but don't reverse them. Make sure you're turning in the correct stuff at the correct time. And then next week we'll be rolling on through to the end of the semester, which is like 2 weeks. And then everything's, the last 2 weeks, everything gets due on the same-ish day. So don't worry about it. But yeah, just double check. 11 oddly is 4, session 11 is due on the 4th. Session 12 is due on the 2nd. Just, you can do it. I believe in everybody understanding Tuesday, Thursdays, Tuesday, Thursday. And then it circles around back again. So registration time, make sure you register for classes. Here's a quick little look at it. We are right here. I don't know what else you've taken, but this is a great quick way. First semester, second semester. Boy, I used to have this listed better. Oh, prereq. So in order to take research and concepting, here the prereqs are in there, so you know what you can take after you take a certain thing. We have it lined up specifically in a certain order because you need to know how to do something before you do something else. And we don't want you to be like, well, I didn't know I had to know how to do this before I could do this. So that is why the order that you take them in here doesn't really matter, once you're in the semesters. And oddly, I should just have them in number order. I don't know why I have them in this order. They should just go by number. Interesting. All right, whatever. Enough about that. But yeah, just look into it and just know what you need to register for. If you do have questions about registering, I know you have an advisor, but sometimes the advisors don't know the ins and outs of the program as well as the faculty. So feel free to ask me, ask any faculty. We'll get back to you. I'll get back to you right away and just be like, oh, sign up for this one. And you're following it in. They may just be like, what? Okay, here's the 5 classes. And then they just are going to be on top of it without thinking about like, okay, did you take this yet? What did you take? So this is a great one. They should have this. If they don't, you can show them yours. You can download it. You can fill it out. You can click on it, whatever you need to do to keep you in order. Graphic design quick challenge, session 12. Start the attempt. Let's see if I can answer the first one. What does a mock-up refer to? A visual representation of a design in context. That is it. I won. Mock-ups. You're going to do mock-ups for your poster and your pamphlet. It's just to make it look real. You put your poster in a real world setting. It's very easy to do. I will teach you how to do that. It's a fun last little part. Textbook is modularity. Fun little section again, just all about how you can arrange stuff. Like this is a big part. Like this is something I really get into too. Is I work with some other projects into where I'm like, if you do it like this, can it also then be turned into this? Like how can it be repeatable in more than one way? And that's a lot to do with even your design. Like you think of a logo design, and when you move further into graphic design, in the graphic design program, we start talking about logos more, is logos need to be modular, and they need to be super tiny. They need to be super big. Sometimes they need to be long, short, skinny, tall. And then so like a company logo needs to be super modular in order to fit in all the different types of the world that we're in right now. So modularity, pretty cool. I'll come around. I'll finish on rough drafts, though the rough drafts is going to be a 1 minute explanation, and I'll be like, refer to the poster design rough drafts, because that's all you're doing. It's the simple version. You're going to turn in your thumbnails. I will hopefully check them tomorrow. Oh, you guys have a day off tomorrow, but I'm in meetings all day. I'll see if I can make sure I get to your big project. I'll make sure I get to the pamphlet designs that are due today at midnight. That way you can hear from me, and if anything is like majorly wrong, though there wasn't, I don't think I found any majorly wrong, but I'll go through this because there was a couple things. Let me just write it down so I remember. This leads all items. All right. All right. Let's jump on in. Let's talk about movement. Then I'm going to talk about movement research as we move into these new designs. I need to, some people are missing, you guys, it's easy, like making sure the backgrounds go all the way to bleed. We'll talk about that. Movement project, that's an open one. And then, yeah, so it should be, as I said before, as we get further into the semester, excuse me, the lectures get shorter. You're starting to fly. You're starting to glide, go places with your designs. I don't have to repeat stuff. So, excuse me. Thank you. Let's talk about movement. All right. Movement is all about helping the viewer guide the eye and tell them where you want stuff, where do I want you to look, and when and how, all that kind of great stuff. Let's jump on in. Movement in the context of design refers to a visual flow or path that guides the viewer's eye through composition. So yeah, we're not like talking about like, wait, how do you get movement on a flat page? We don't, but we fool people. This is such a great psychological, and I've said this in the past, like we mess with people's minds in graphic design. We can get people to be like, look at things they would never look at before, move their eyes, and they don't even know it. But we're like, I want them to look at this, then this, then this. And they're like, oh my God, I didn't realize I was doing that. And you're like, yeah, I knew you were going to do it because I set it up. Lines. That's it, really. You know what I mean? Lines. We have a tendency, I was working with some students. We have a tendency to follow lines wherever they go. That's why there's lines on the road to let us know where we're going, to keep us in our space, all that kind of fun stuff. Like that's what lines are for, but we can just do the simple. As soon as I do an arrow, we're like, wait, what? What's over here? It's this guy. We're moving around. Like, so lines and direction. So even if you do, this is going to get into this pattern of repetition, but even if I do like these kind of lines, like we want to follow something. We want to know what's going on. You can change direction. Like if I have something here and then we go line and then up there, like you're like, oh, like this is like your last project of like moving the eye around. And how do we do that? Lines is like just like the easiest one, and then I drew all straight lines, or curved lines, can get us up to there if we want. Like how do I know? Like I'm starting here and I want to be up here, and all I did was draw this and I'm up there. That's super cool. I gotta fit the screen for a minute. Oh yeah. Okay. Pattern. I was just making sure I had a good pattern one, and I do. So pattern. You can use pattern. And pattern is, and we're going to talk about pattern in a week or two. And pattern is just a repeating, something that repeats over and over and over. But you can set these up to get people to look again where not only like follow a direction, which I have some great examples of pattern, but you can also with the anomaly that we're going to call it, and you can change something within the pattern and people won't be able to look away from that. And it's amazing again, what we can do with that, how it works. It's really cool. It's really cool. So the pattern is a pretty great way to work with that. Color gradients. So this is good. I don't use color gradients all that often, but it is like one of those, if they're done subtly, I'm not talking about like a rainbow where you're like, it goes from, all different colors and it's rainbow. But if you have a piece and it's generally, I would say, I can think of something in my head. I can't really illustrate it here that well, but like, oh, I didn't mean to hit line. If you have something and it's like, starts from yellow and it goes to, let's open a darker purple. Let's do this. This purple is bright. And then I like interject it, and then we go to this purple. And it's a gradient. Your eye will follow generally from the darker to the lighter. And so your object would be there. And you can do really great duotone pieces that all the like the person or the central maybe subject matter is here, but then the information is over here. And so it's a beautiful play of this color gradient of like moving the eye from one place to another, but very subtly. People don't even know that we're doing it. Text and typography and text flow. How do we read it? So we have a Western world that we live in is top to bottom, left to right in the way we read. There's other countries that read differently, like down for, like they read down and over or over to the other way. I don't know all of the differences, but we're across and down, left to right, top to bottom. And that's our general flow. But if I start like making my type go like this, I'm going to follow that with my eye. Like I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it around. I'm always going to start left. We always want to start with our text here because we read that way. It is very hard to do the reverse. Let me tell you that. I've tried. It's like, oh, we need it to go this direction with the words, but you're like, it's not going to work. People read this direction. But you can get them once they're started, you can get them to switch to a different direction if need be. So typography and text flow, great way to move the eye around, get people to look at what you want and have a good time doing it. I think that's kind of a fun one when you're like kind of reading. Implied motion, I got one or two. Almost every piece I have in here for the examples is implied motion. All of this that we're doing is implied motion. It is the illusion. Again, like we can just simply, we're illusionists. We should all be on Penn and Teller and tricking people's eye. Like there's no motion in anything we do. There can't be. It's a flat, motion graphics. Yes, you will take a course in motion graphics eventually, but it's just like it's an implied idea of movement. So that's what we're doing. Like that's the whole thing. Hierarchy and focal points. This is another great way to move the eye around. It is the number one way, sort of like hierarchy. We build the hierarchy from big to small, this important to this important, and the person follows it because of the way we designed it. And then if you add focal points, those are stopping points along their journey. You're creating like a trip for people where they travel and there's stopping points, just like you would do on a vacation. Go on a trip, we travel somewhere, then we stop at things to see things, and we travel more, and then we stop to see and we travel more. It's a trip. It's literally a little vacation for the eyes. And then use the space. How do you use that space? The distribution of the elements, and this is that one that we did, open and crowded. Like then if you'll see in some of the examples I have is like, if it's more crowded in one area and less crowded in the other, I'm gonna have this feeling of motion. And it's just using the space. And it's so funny, like when you start to describe it more and more and more of how like such a simple thing is, but then when you start to take it apart and you really think about it, you're like, oh my God, this is so weird. That like we're all tricked by it. It's just the way we live our lives. So the movement, let's get into this. Here. Oh, that's a good color. Let's do the lime green today. We have size difference. These are all grouped pretty tight, but then they're all directionally changing as they go to this. If you look closely, every one of these is the same. It looks so intricate. It looks so like, oh, they made one fish with lots of different sizes. It did take a long time. I'm not saying it didn't take a long time, but it's not like each fish is different. It's all the same fish, except for, and then this is the same fish as this one. But then the implied motion, for this one, happens with the curve of the tail. Here, look at that. We have a straight tail, but the way they did the straight tails and made them smaller and going here and then build into the bigger fish, and then they gave the bigger fish motion by curving it. So many things going on in this, and it's two color. You know what I mean? It's white and blue. But there's so much going on. It really brings it. There's a foreground. This is the foreground. Then it leads to the background as well. Just great work. Great work. Oh, I'm going to open something. I got to open Photoshop. Oh, I could have done a place in bed. If it comes up. Okay, let's get rid of that for a minute. For this next one. All right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a screenshot of it and show you the difference on this typography one. So this is a typography one. This is really like, you kind of like, there's this weird intro and I'm like, whoop, like I come in, even though this circles around like that, I come in, I'm like, whoop. And then there's this like backup swirl right there. So you come in from the top corner like you normally would with reading, but then I read this and I start falling and you're like, boom, boom. And then you fall again. And it's so, to me, it's like a lot of fun. Like they're using the T's as these like, thin, but we don't even think about how we're reading the THIN. We read it as a single word, and then the thick. So much fun in that way that they're doing it. And then these, these angles that we have that are adding movement where there's no movement, and with something that could like essentially be pretty open and free for that idea. Like, okay, let's get the Photoshop open. Oh, what? Of course, when I go away. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste that in file. New. Oh. So I'm going to place embed the image I just took, the screenshot. All right. And all I'm going to do is grab it and straighten it. Not as fun as the other one, is it? Or at least not to me. You know, like here, and you're like, yeah, all right, that's a pretty nice, you know, it's a cool design, but it's like really rigid, doesn't it? It seems like overly rigid. And then you go to this one where it's like, oh, there's the fun. Get some angles going and some cool stuff going. So just simple things with typography that we can do. This one is very similar to this one. It's all the same. We have an inherent sense of running and movement and these people going fast, but it's just shapes. It's flat shapes. And they're all the same shape again, for the most part. You know, we got the leg out on everybody, pretty much the same leg out. The leg back, pretty much the same leg back. You know, they switched some leg sides, but, you know, it's easy to do. The arms back, everything's the same. But it's this one thing. But once it's grouped together, you're like, wow, it has some motion. And you have these lines. What also helps is the lines don't extend forward, but they go all the way backwards. See what they did there? They go off the page, but they stop in front of the page, which gives us this idea that they're coming through in the, you know, this is of course the finish line, but they could have had those lines go all the way through, but that would have stopped the motion. I wonder if we can draw that in. Oh, I got white. I could try this pinky. All right, let's not do it that fat. A little bit thinner. Now I feel like I'm gridding them in. So like, it's not the same to me without those. I think it, you know, it's so much better. It keeps it open, like they're finished. And again, all like, it's just the same sort of thing going over and over and repeating. So we have the pattern repeating, but it gives us an immense sense of motion. Here's another one, even simpler. It's an S curve, wonderfully accented with just this line. Well, now we got to draw with a different color because that's not showing up. You know, it's just right there. So they drew an S, but even though we read starting from here, this is so apparent. And then it leaves the page, hides, and then like, I get that feeling like it's coming up and over. It's an S with a line in front of it. Like, how do we, you know, the mind, how does the mind get from this to this that we feel like, wow, this car is like zooming over the top of a hill or something like that. And there's so much movement in there, but it's such a static piece. And mind you, you're seeing like there's no gradient. Like this is like light reflection on this piece from the photograph of the poster that it was, but it's just black, yellow, and white. But we get like that sense of fun and liveliness, like, and then like it's all lowercase. I love the lowercase, like lively, and it's like goes like a Grace house with a hot foot, curves around corners like a sports car. Like this is like they just wrote this in, and somebody is just like whoosh. Here we go, done and done. You know, I don't want to say done and done. They did an excellent drawing of the car to get it at that perspective, but Amazing. And this is the one with spatial, where less people out here, more people here. Similar to this piece where the people are just, a lot of them are the same. You know, they have different heads, but it's like once you have one person walk in, you have everybody walk in. You know, erase a leg, move an arm, pretty easy stuff, like once you have one drawn. But that idea of spatial arrangement, where I have very few out here and a lot right here, gives us that sense of like they're all moving in that direction. And of course their feet and their arms and everything are pointing in that direction. But I think it's like really such a great idea and a way to get people to move, look around and see stuff in a different way. Are there any questions about movement? All right. It's cool. I love it. This is so much fun. Like, love this stuff. All right, let's check out some stuff. And then, yeah, move on. Start working. Take a nice break for Thanksgiving. All right, movement research. So I'm going to do this one. I'm going to move my page so I can see it. And I just need a couple people, not wrong, but I want it more right. So I'm going to create the new file, and it's 16. This is InDesign, tab 9. I just want one page. Make sure that facing pages is not turned on. And then no columns, whatever. Margins and bleed, make sure you're looking at the size. It's 0.5. And then 0.5. I'm going to hit create. And then I'm going to pull the ruler to split down the middle. So it goes to 8 and 4.5. So I have that. So I built it like you would. And then I'm going to add my layers. And this one is going to be title. I'm going to make a layer called images. And we're going to have a layer called background, which I'm going to make sure is on the bottom. All right. Now this is one where you don't have to worry about that margin. Illustrator, it's a little bit different. Each program is a little bit different. You have to become masters in both programs, actually in 3 programs, possibly 4. But you'll get into it. The more you use them, it's like having different tools around. Think of a woodworker doesn't just use only one tool. They have a saw, they have a hammer, they have a drill, they have this, and you have to know how to use all the tools. You do too. But one of the things that not everybody's doing is the weird part is when we put in our backgrounds. And so say it's a color background. People are just doing this size. Make it pink so everybody sees it. But it's actually this size. All right. You need to go go all the way to the bleed marks. That's the bleed marks. Your background needs to go all the way to the bleed marks. You can see your artboard, so you know where the edge of your document is. And then nothing goes beyond the margin. The margin is your safety zone. So nothing, so it's like everything stays within this box. The edge of the artboard is this box, and extra stuff goes all the way out. Hope that makes sense. And if you're like designing, you're like, this is like hard for me to grasp. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to mentally understand like the 3 differences in like how your design is looking. It takes a little bit of time to get used to it, but you can always down here on your toolbar, there's a preview, and it'll take all the stuff off and show you what it looks like with just the artboard. And then you just go back to it. And then you keep designing. So make sure you're pulling, the background goes all the way to the bleed marks. I don't know what else to call it. When I say marks, it's bleed box, bleed square. I don't know what to call it. If somebody's got a better name for me, let me know. This goes all the way out to the bleed, but that's how it's supposed to look. So no matter what you do, it could be a photograph. Let's see, do I have something non-embarrassing to put in here? File, place. Oh, I put that one image. I'll put that in on your computer. Downloads. What was that? So say this is my background. I'm going to turn it 90. So say like this was my background. I would have it go all the way to the bleed marks. Like, you know, I want it doesn't stop at the border. It stops at the bleed marks. All these lines need to go past. So when they cut it, it's properly done. So that was the big one that is starting to come up. Just you always go all the way to the bleed, the artboard, and the margin. 3 different rules for 3 different portions. If you need better explanation, you want me to talk about it more, I'm happy to do that with you. We can get together. So keep on keeping on with that. Doing good. I'm just going to remind you about that. Have some fun. Everybody's doing pretty good at these. So catching on. Make sure you include both the working file and the PDF. I do check both files. Movement. Oh, wait, what was the last thing I had written? My notepad's turned off. Okay. No, okay, we're good. Movement. 6 compositions. No starter. Using line to show movement, pattern to show movement, and typography to show movement. 6 different ones. This is like back to basics. Have some fun with it. Do whatever you want as long as the lines are apparent as the movement piece here. A pattern helps us move around on this one, and typography helps us move around on this one. Experiment. Try some things. Go crazy. Have fun. Like this is like so open. I know everybody stalls on it. Oh wait, I can do anything I want? I don't know what to do. You will start to find that out. It is easier to design when you have more restrictions than you think. So everybody, we like, oh, I wish I could just do whatever I wanted to do. You can with your own work. Like just design on your own and do whatever you want. But when it comes to the project, then you'll start finding out that like, oh, I kind of do like having a bunch of rules because then I know like I have an edge or like a stopping point and or I have a puzzle to solve. I have to get all these weird things to work in a certain area and it becomes a puzzle. And I find it very enjoyable to do that. So, but when they're a little bit more open-ended like this, you'll find it to be a tad more difficult. Like, oh, I can just do anything. Like, yeah, do anything. Well, I don't know what to do. Try some stuff out. Experiment. Use the extra area around your artboard to play around and have some fun. It's well worth it. A lot of my artboards, like, oh, this outside area outside the artboard is filled with crud. I love doing that. Just put it all out there. So that is the movement project. Rough draft. One thing for both the poster and the pamphlet is to make sure like everything, when I mention like it needs to include these things, I need to see these things in the sketches, in the thumbnails, I'm looking for 4 things. I go through and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That poster has 5. This has 4. I'm going through and I need to see the name, the photo, 5 examples. I hope there's 5 boxes, 2 paragraphs, and I look for that. That is the instructions from the client. You can't just be like, oh no, I'll make sure the other one gets in there because they're going to be like, well, but where are you going to put it? I would like to see it before you get started. Thank you, excuse me. And so you just got to make sure that all this is in there. I think I had to mention it to a couple people like, it's pretty good, but not everything is included that's supposed to be included. That's why there's numbers behind them. And don't forget to include. So make sure you're doing that. This is easier. I want you to write about what you're going to do, but you only have to develop a rough draft. So just one, because there's 4 pages. Take your favorite one. Now, like I said, I'll get back to you Wednesday, Thursday. I should be able to do it tomorrow. I'm going to make it part of, like, I will guarantee to get you tomorrow. Thursday, I'm not going to work. Thursday is Thanksgiving, and it's my first year hosting. So I will not be checking any of this on Thursday. Then on Friday, I'll come back to it for late comers. But I'll double check it. That way you can work from Friday on. I don't expect you to work Thursday either, but at least you'll know it's done. And then it's just one rough draft for this. The rough drafts are important because I'm going to tell you that what you're going to do is you're going to bring that drawing of the rough draft into the background and start to place your stuff on top of it. So the rough draft is literally a map of how you're going to place things on your board. I do it all the time. I'll do a sketch, I'll bring it in, I'll size it, and then I'll start placing my stuff on top. And then, so that's for next week, starting with the poster. So I'll describe about that more, but it's very important to understand all that when it comes to this. So there we go. Any questions about any of the stuff? All right then. Well, like I said, these are getting shorter. Remember when they are hour and 15 minutes? There's less stuff here to talk about, and you guys know how to do this. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy some time off. Double check your dates. Know the dates. And yeah, if I don't talk to you on discussion boards over the weekend, I will talk to you on Tuesday. All right. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving. And yeah, I'll talk to you later. All right. Bye-bye.